Welcome to the We Are Satoshi podcast. This is Kyle Huber, and today I get to speak with Ivan. Ivan is a Bulgarian Bitcoiner who's found a passion and actually created a living and a life for himself just by doing work without asking for permission. So many of us, we think we need to go look for a job in the industry or, get a toe in the door. Ivan's whole entire premise, the reason why he was invited to speak in both Sofia, Bulgaria and Prague is because of this concept of doing permissionless work. So we talk a lot about that, and we also talk about Ivan's personal story coming out of the 2008 financial crisis, the pressure that instance and that event put on his family led to the story that he's going to tell today. So I'll get out of the way. This is definitely one of the most profound and unique, and I say unique, but from his perspective, what he went through is not unique. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we're going to get into the show with Ivan. Here we go. Let's do it. All right, Ivan, pleasure to be here with you, man.
Pleasure for having me on your show.
Thank you. Yeah, we met just last week, and you've been getting me to think differently about Bitcoin is what I want to say. There's a lot of content and stories being told around Bitcoin, and I really appreciate your perspective and also your willingness to think differently. There's all these big names saying certain things, and I've heard you say, I appreciate that perspective, but here's how I think about it. So just wanted to start by saying that. And
thanks, man. But as you've heard in Bulgaria, I was very anchored because of my personal experiences. And I say also that words are very poor tools. And if I right now say to you what it is to run 100 kilometers, even though I can explain maybe for days what it is, you will not understand. Our logical brain may understand, but you will not. If you go run 100 kilometers yourself and you have that experience, I don't need to say anything and you will understand me. And for me, Bitcoin about the number go up technology is like that.
Yeah.
It's so superficial, and all the depth, the knowledge is not in the words, not in the numbers, and in the human experience. And so when I see the Auto Freedom Foundation or Human Stories, how they used Bitcoin in a particular use case to be the solution to their human experience, that is what Bitcoin gave to me. And that's what I sometimes cry about, I laugh about, I really inspire about. The number go up is great the moment that you see it. After 5 moments, you're past it. I think Bruce Willis said it, even getting famous is interesting for the first month. Number go up, it's interesting for the moment when it happens. Then life continues on, your life experience continues on. And if you're not grounded to that, you're actually going to trade away in the numbers your life experience. And yeah, you could measure some stuff, those are useful tools, but the real deepness, the things that you cannot explain in words, are much more deeper in Bitcoin, in my personal opinion.
I love it, man. I don't know if you know this, but the name of this podcast is We Are Satoshi. And so awesome. The idea is that, in a fiat world, you have to constantly, you're on the hamster wheel trying to get more fiat so that you can save for a house in the future that you want, because ultimately money is not an ends in and of itself. It's a means to live the life and have the experiences. And so the concept and what I've began to recognize when I've been meeting Bitcoiners is once you are not so worried about chasing the fiat dragon, then you ask the question of like, okay, where is my time, my energy, and my life best allocated? Obviously, life is insanely short, man. Like it goes by, it goes by so fast. It's so precious. So, um, Bitcoin gives us this opportunity to save our purchasing power instead of have to take all sorts of risks and gamble and ultimately end up in kind of like a nihilistic mindset towards the future, a very short time preference. And yeah, I'm curious, like how that specifically applies to you and like what gifts you're bringing to the world. And um, obviously, like you have to make money, but talk to me about how also give some context of who you are, where you're from, what you're working on. You got the Breez hat on right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, give us a little background on just like how you got to be where you are.
Uh, I would say that my story, uh, logically, I tie it back to 2008. But I love to have the stories from Lebanon that we all know last year Bitcoin went up 10x in a span of one night. But behind those charts, there are human experiences that, again, you cannot explain away, but people live those things. And I bet that there are a few Bitcoiners that can bring into this space much more. My personal story is that after 2008, the financial pressures in the beginning came to my family because my mother was the main provider in my family. She was a pretty successful business lady for Bulgaria. We did okay, and she was my hero because she was born in a village of 300 people, like tiny village.
Yeah.
And in a span of her life, fairly easily, she didn't follow anybody. She was very smart and valued mathematics a lot. So she managed to do a career that became a millionaire even in American standards. We weren't like very big company or anything, but for a family that's great. Yeah. And when 2008 happened, we weren't liking anything, but obviously she had to adjust with this new environment, and she had to budget and constrain some things so you can deal with the situation. But the person next to her didn't actually work at that point when her business took off, and she was like a lot of hodlers right now. Oh, Bitcoin, give me the number, go up, give me. And he was the same. Oh, I want stuff without doing anything. And this intensified over years. And in 2014, she said, I've had enough. I want a divorce. Obviously, there are some personal other stuff other than money that come into play. But when the things were filed to that the divorce proceedings were starting to happen, he understood, okay, this is really going to happen. It's going beyond just fighting. So in his psychopathical mind, he decided to kidnap and kill her. I cannot explain it logically because yeah, like we talked, how can you explain that? How can you explain the experience? How can you explain, you just realize so much more than words at that point. And that particular killing was definitely because of money. And even after the killing, me and my smaller sister had to inherit the assets of our mother, but we weren't. We were tricked. We were stolen from even after that. They took a few apartments and they sold them so they can bribe some judges for a lower sentence. Like all sorts of things that you're never going to hear in a Bitcoin podcast, other than myself currently. But because of all that experience that I had to deal for 7 years, it took me fighting in court for 7 years. He was a full citizen under arrest. He was challenging the will. He was, as I said, sold some assets. He was bribing whatever he can so he can have his own nest egg. He attracted some other proxies from outside, so they saw some money that they can extract. They I, they broke, let's say, that relationship, because when they got some money, they said, "Okay, go away now. You're in jail. You don't. We don't care about you." And again, that thing, when I try to explain, it would be such a poor job just by words. But all that knowledge is in my bones, in my whole body, what I've experienced in that time. And because I had to deal with all sorts of problems on the legal side, on the illegal side, on the emotional side, on the logical side, uh, when I started studying Bitcoin in late 2021, and I got it pretty fast because I heard the Jason Lowry's thesis about power projection, whether Bitcoiners like him or not, it doesn't matter. Like, reality doesn't care if you think that the Earth is flat. I'm sorry, but some people might think that. And for me, when I've experienced exactly what Jason Larry is talking about, but I experienced it not on a national level, what he's talking. I experienced it on a personal level, on a very tiny, small scale. And I said, this is it. This is the solution to so many problems that are beyond the fucking money, even though the money is in the core of it. I said, I have to contribute. Like, it's so much bigger than me, but because I have all that knowledge, I must be that message for other people to realize beyond that thing. And in the beginning, obviously, I sold everything that I could sell so I can put it in Bitcoin. And yeah, let's stop here and open it up for questions.
Man, I appreciate you just giving that background. Meeting you, obviously, I know, you walk around, no one has any idea what your life experience has been. And I think that it's easy for us to judge other people and say, why is this person like this or like that? But when you really understand what they've been through, I guess you just judge other people less, and maybe you have a more open heart. And I think, the world that we live in is, there's not enough space for that, I think. But I guess the first question I have is, what was the connection between this experience and actually connecting to Bitcoin? Was it just the corruption, or talk to me about what was it about, how did the 7 years of battling through the court system, and my understanding of what you're saying is it was not a fair or just outcome by any means. He got a short prison sentence. And was this your biological dad or your...
Yeah, it's my stepdad, but
Stepdad.
It's biological for my sister.
Your sister, okay.
And her dealing with it was much harder
I bet.
because of it.
Yeah.
But well, the whole struggle was exactly what Jason Larry is talking about. That there's a balance between trust and power projection. And the human experience is we're all mammals, and mammals do these bonds because in a group you are stronger than individuals. But the bond between the human experience, we call it trust. And it's extremely efficient because if I trust you, I can tell you, come back tomorrow. And if I trust you, I know that you'll be there. I don't need to check, let's say, every hour are you going to come or not? This is a small example of that efficiency in energy terms.
Yeah.
But if I don't trust you, uh, actually a better example is, let's say, in the airport. If a country is in a military state, to get to the plane, the scanners will be at the maximum details, the security will be so high, and to go through all those checks, there will be so much energy into it, about people, about technology, about time. But if we're not in a military state, then you go through the airport in half an hour and you board the plane and it's fine. But when that trust is broken, you cannot uh, unsubscribe from the reality. You cannot unsubscribe from whether I like people killing other people. Uh, the bullet doesn't care what we think about it, whether it's fair or unfair. If you cross the street on a green light and the truck hits you, the truck doesn't care. Reality doesn't care. The time cannot go back. It happens, fair or unfair. And through that experience, I actually realized something for myself before my Bitcoin days, is that justice is this, it's an imaginary concept. It's very nice, logical, by words that we humans say, but it's totally an imaginary concept. And is it fair for me to have that experience? Is it just? Doesn't matter. It happened. And that is exactly what Jason Larry is talking about. And he is a hardcore proof of work maxi. And obviously, the only proof of work that matters is Bitcoin. And when I connected that and I said, okay, I had that concept about justice is total fiction. It's only some stuff are happening and there are consequences about it. And I said, okay, this is something way bigger than money, even though I was attracted to study it for the money. And when I realized that and connected it to my experience and what I cannot express, I said, okay, I must contribute. As I said, I need to be that message. I have no idea how. I have no idea where to start from, but this must happen because what I experienced, that there was a bloodshed in my family, provoked and triggered by the money, by the 2008 financial crisis, and one person decided to act this way. In Lebanon, a lot of people experience that way. And when I see number go up there, what I see and what makes me sad is that I know that people died because of it. Something that is not present to us, but there are people in there that experience this. Maybe some people didn't die, but they are starving, or they had to do immoral things I don't know, dealing drugs or prostitution, like the most famous ones. I don't know, but even though I don't see them, I am absolutely certain that they are happening. And for me, that is the thing that I'm trying to solve, because when you have actual Bitcoin, it protects you from that inevitability. Because for the whole world to experience what Lebanon experienced, for me, it's inevitable. It's not that if, the only thing that we don't know is when. And when you have Bitcoin in the proper way, that protects you exactly from that thing happening to you, like, how can I care about the money? Money is the aspect, yes, and people experience, but when you actually save one life and you value the human life more than the fucking money, like for me that's a human experience that we can connect so much deeper than high-fiving about Bitcoin becoming a million. Like when we have a human network that we help each other and not steal each other, fight each other, and we're forced through inflation or from confiscation or all sorts of crap that we're forced to survive. And because we will choose to survive selfishly, we are not going to care for our neighbor, for our community, for our country, for the human species, then we become more and more selfish. And uh, if you're a psychopath, you might decide to kill a person. If on the other side they are just trying to protect themselves, how they are going to respond to those people, and this will lead to so much chaos. And yeah, that is why I'm here. And because of that message, because uh, I don't wanna, how do I say it? I don't want to brag about it in any sort of way because it's not about me. But that's why when I meet people face to face, not online, I I go for the heart, I go for the gut, for the throat, and I make an impression on them. And I would say because of that, I managed to make impressions to people that I meet face to face, and opportunities started to present to me, and. For the graciousness of the people that gave back to me, they pointed me into the Breez direction, and again, there they decided to go with me. Maybe I was not as qualified as other people, but I am here for my entire career. I'm not going to do anything else.
There's a lot I could dive in on, and I think the first thing though is that I would say is we have as a human such a hard time. Like if you see a kid drowning in the water right there, you're obviously going to jump in the water and go save the kid. But if you hear a news story about a kid on the other side of the world, it's like, what are you supposed to do about it? So it's the same thing with, when you talk about Lebanon having a 10x in the Bitcoin price, what you're saying is the currency, because Bitcoin didn't go 10x against all the currencies in the world. It went 10x against just the Lebanese currency, which means everybody in that country is now suffering. They're not able to buy food. They're not able to afford their life. There's some statistic.
Not only that they are not able, but nobody can help you because your neighbor is in the same position.
Yeah.
In my position, like it's a localized experience and some people might help you, but what do you do when you're in that position and nobody is there to save you?
And that's the entire world, that's the fiat, that's the whole thing. And I forget the exact statistics, but I remember I had a conversation with one of my professors early in COVID. He was a philosophy professor, and I asked him what his perspective was on the government shutting the economy down, just locking everybody down, telling businesses they couldn't provide and run their businesses. And I'll have to look it up and maybe put it in the notes or something, but for every X percentage of GDP decrease or economic, for whenever the economy decreases, mortality increases. So we saw in COVID like a 30% decrease in GDP in March of 2020, or that quarter two of 2020. And, it's easy to measure COVID deaths, or easier, right? It's like, here's a number, these are the people that died, but how do you measure the people, the kids that didn't go to school who got, abused by their parents, or, the suicides, they call them deaths of despair. Like all these things are on a scale that our minds can't even wrap our heads around. And that's for me why Bitcoin is so powerful. It sounds like it is for you as well. Is like Bitcoin takes away this, it changes the rules of the game so that there's more justice or fairness, you could say, in the system. I'm kind of making fun, but yeah, man, I think that I want to talk more about proof of work, and I know you've given some incredible talks in the last couple days, just around the concept of not needing permission to do things. But first, like I really do want to ask you, and maybe someone's asked you this before, but how did you persevere? How did you stay strong? Were there people that were there to support you? Like, were you? I mean, you took us through 7 years of this story very quickly, but I'm just, as a human being, I'm curious. Like I can't imagine going through something like that. When I was a kid, I used to have nightmares of waking up and my parents are dead or something like that. I would run to their room and, okay, they're still there, everything's fine. But like, you actually, went through that and lived that in your real life. And I'm curious, like, you know, how did you stay through it? Like, how did you?
I would say, in order to deal with it, uh, I had the benefit, not unlike my sister, that I got out of my family uh, at 21. So I had 6 years of me living alone, and no, it was not 21. It was sooner. But I started developing myself at 21. So I had 6 years of self-development. And I was reading books about business, about psychology, about picking up girls, about anything that was interesting to me. And when you self-develop, the person that you start becoming in that process starts to really deal with situation. It's not about, oh, I'm this title, I'm this person. Doesn't matter. But you actually learn to deal with whatever is happening to you. It's not that you're floating by the river, but you actually can swim against it. And that is probably the only thing why I could deal with a lot of the stuff. I'm not saying that I couldn't deal before, because our capacity to deal with things is remarkable in all of us. But if you're used to a particular way of dealing with situation, like oh, I'm not going to go for something that I want, or I'm too lazy, or I get angry, or I get depressed, like, you're still dealing with the situation, but in that way. But if you learn to ignore all that and to choose a way to deal with the situation, then that kind of becomes the thing. And I approached when that morning, because as I mentioned, it was a kidnapping, and we didn't know for the whole night what was happening. The police was already involved. And when I woke up that morning, I knew, even though nobody told us, but I knew because I lived with him for more than 15 years, she's dead. Like, nobody had to tell me. And when they finally confirmed it for me, I said, okay, this is an incredibly emotional time. But right now, I'm not allowed. I have to become a psychopath. I'm not allowed to deal with this emotion right now, because there's a lot of actions that need to be done. And I'm the person right now that has to deal with almost everything. And the biggest thing right then, and the most important thing, is again a human person, which was my sister. Because after everything, we lost a lot of assets, money, or whatever. But if me and my sister actually died, then my mother's life was a waste. And I focused on that. So again, just like Bitcoin, you're thrown into something and deal with it. Life doesn't care, reality doesn't care, almost every person doesn't care, but I care, my sister cared. And I just took it everything one step at a time. And because it's still I had to deal with the emotions. Like I'm not a complete psychopath, complete robot. It was a very sad period, and you see how things that you think are yours are taken away from you. And I did some very stupid decisions in that period. Some were for emotional reasons, other were for people taking advantage of the situation, other were just me not being experienced and eventually finding the right solution. For example, I did not know a decent lawyer, neither any of my relatives. And I had to go through 6 different lawyer firms in order to find a decent one. But because I had to go through all of them, I would say that I found a pretty good one. It was not like, oh, somebody hit my car on a red light situation and I have some.
No, you need
like
the best lawyer. Like this is a unique situation. This is like.
I'm definitely not unique. It is a severe situation,
Yeah.
but yeah. And when you see even the lawyers on the other side that are doing illegal things, it's a very strange dynamic, and there are a lot of things that I cannot say on camera that I had to deal with the situation. But again, justice is a total fiction. Yes, it is this fiction that is based on trust, but when the trust is broken, you go and deal with the reality, with whatever means you find, and you navigate the situation. And it's all about actions. Going back to your questions,
Yeah.
how did I deal with it? I focused on the action. I focused on the next step or the next few steps. It was not about if I got frozen in time, that this is sad. I cannot even speak about it now. I will just experience. My body will bring up all those emotions, and I cannot speak logically about them. When you focus on action, when I focus right now on delivering the message and not me experiencing, that's how you can deal with a certain situation. Sometimes things happen to me and my body brings that emotion, and I just experience it again. But that is the thing that I advise, dealing with a reality that we call problems. Because if you have a surprise that is beneficial for you, we wake up tomorrow and Bitcoin is 3x than this price, great, it's a nice surprise. But the surprises that we don't want, we call problems, and just focus on the action. That's what you can control, and focus on yourself, not like, oh, it shouldn't have happened, oh, this was illegal, oh, this person is whatever. We can control only ourselves, and that's my advice.
Thank you for I actually really, I always question, like, if I were to face something of this magnitude, like, how would I handle it? Because you have no way of knowing how you're going to handle the worst day of your life until it happens, and so I was just curious about that. And you mentioned, like, being able to just focus on the action and become a psychopath for the short term. And I think that's like something especially men are wired to do. I've seen my uncle get up when his wife passed away from breast cancer and just speak at the funeral. Or my friend, his father passed away suddenly last year. He found him, downstairs in the house, dead. And he that was just a year ago. And seeing him go through that, I know that the actual, like, emotional challenge is still, like, very present with him, like, a year later. And so you can bottle it up, but did you do anything actively? Like you mentioned, the sometimes things will happen and it'll come into your body and you'll feel the emotions, but did you take any actions? Did you, I don't know what you might do to try and, like, did you try and lean into the emotions, or how did you, over the course of 7 years, like once you had the ability to say, okay, like this happened, like how am I gonna make sure that this isn't just like something that is always in the back of your mind potentially, or not what I'm saying is like, did you consciously think about ways to like process? Does that make sense?
I understand. Yeah, I would say when, uh, like you said, the men were more inclined usually to on the action side, but when the emotion happens, the basic understanding that I know is that just let it be. Like, don't interrupt it, because if you interrupt the emotion, that kind of gets it stuck. That kind of creates this autoimmune disease on an emotional level, if I can say it like that. That something wants to happen in the body, but something else internally attacks it, and like when I'm focused on the action, I'm not focused on the emotion, and I just act. But when the emotion happens, I even today I remember one time that maybe a month, 2 months after the event, I was driving the car and I was at the cross lights and I felt that emotion. I started to cry. I parked the nearest thing because I was on the street, and I just let it be. I stayed there for half an hour or something. I let the emotion, because emotions are waves, and there is a peak, and when the emotion starts to become more intense, we want to contract, so we don't let it be. But if you just lean into it, even if it is intense, it will end. And that's how I process the actual emotions. But it when I have this mentality that I focus first on the action when I need to act, because let's say in that crosslight when the emotion started to happen, if I saw right then and there that somebody was, let's say an ambulance wanted to see, it was going to ground me into I need to do something now and get me out of the emotion, because that is the thing that is present. But when you have the space for the emotion, that's how you can process both things, because there's a time to act and there's a time to experience. That's what I would say.
It's really good advice. I try not to bottle up emotions, and this is something I'm working on personally. So I appreciate you sharing that. So transitioning to like a whole different topic, which is this proof of work. First of all, what is proof of work? For someone who's never heard of this concept or this word, what does it mean to you? Not just in Bitcoin, but in
Yeah.
life.
For me, proof of work, Bitcoin, I would say it like that. The two most popular ways are proof of stake and proof of work. And our human experience has both. It gave us proof of stake, which is our time, our life. We have one life. That's your stake. And on its own, it's not valuable. It is scarce, yes. But that proof of stake is on top of what you do with that time, your actual energy, what you're doing, what you're experiencing, and that gives it value to that scarcity. Because in every single moment that you're investing energy, it's going one way. You cannot go back to repeat it, like a video game or anything proof of stake, mirage, fiction, and stuff like that. But the beautiful thing that is in Bitcoin, it's the exact same thing. That there is a proof of stake. Let's say you have one Bitcoin. Your stake into the network, into the technology, into everything is 1/21 millionth. So that is your stake in Bitcoin. But all that is on top of the work that the network is doing. Whether that work is mining Bitcoin to find every single Satoshi. And mining goes also now more and more for the transactions on the first layer. But if let's say we agree on something and you give me a task that you pay me in Bitcoin, I'll go do energy stuff, like my proof of work. I give it to you and you say, cool, I'll pay you in Bitcoin. So I did proof of work, and that's again this dynamic that's going to manifest more and more into the ecosystem. And because of it, I talk about, even in the BTC Prague, my talk was to earn this permissionless money, you need to do permissionless work, because we are so used to begging. Begging maybe is a harsher word, but asking for permission. Oh, can I have this job so I can have some money or this? If you're a 5-year-old kid, you're working all the time, nobody's paying you, and you're happier, and you do what you love doing. But when you start indoctrinate yourself into the schooling system and then into the workforce and all, where that's beaten out of us, and now we are obedient slave machines when you go through all that process. But Bitcoin will give all that thing back to us, because you're not going to ask to work, you just start working something. There's a Bitcoiner in the distance that is watching and is trying to see if you're consistent enough or you're just pausing. And in 3 months, in 6 months, out of nowhere, the opportunity will find you, because you decided to do the proof of work. That it's not about the time waiting for something to happen to you, waiting for the world to give you something, but you're actually giving something to the world. You're pursuing the things that you love, and because you love them, you become better at them. Because you become better at them, people start to take notice, and the opportunity again comes to you. And every single person that started following this advice, it's an amazing story. It's a unique story every single time, and you could never predict it. And that is my message: that don't focus on your fucking proof of stake in Bitcoin, how much you have. Focus on what are you contributing toward your life, what is your life goals, and just use the scarcity of Bitcoin that is going to accelerate all that. And it's going to be an amazing story for each individual person that follows this.
You've given this talk, and you also you write articles and post them online, but do any stories come to mind of people that have come to you later and said, hey, I applied this and here's what happened?
Nobody actually said I applied directly, but I follow some people that I see that they applied it. Let's say one person, a countryman, a Bulgarian, when he found out, oh, there's a Bulgarian in Breez, and that's a fairly known project.
Yeah.
And he said, can you say something within the company so they can hire me or at least interview me? And I said, man, you're a developer. How many open source projects there are? Start developing and do the yeah, but I'm not such a highly technical capable person. And I said, doesn't matter, start doing stuff, and I bet we'll do it. That is one of the people that followed my advice, and 3 months later I found out that he was contributing to the Nostr space currently.
Yeah.
And because he was the person that did the most of the Slack issues in a particular project that the main devs didn't want to deal with. Let's say a font size or something. I don't know what he did, but stuff that are not really important, but he decided to do it and contributed the most out of everybody. 3 months later, not even asking for it, they gave him half a Bitcoin because he did the most. Yeah. Another story is I I did a meetup in my city, a regular meetup. One person came in and he decided to do a tour in Bulgaria to check every single merchant that is accepting Bitcoin, to validate the BTC map.
Nice.
And stayed in the hotel, buy whatever things, and he decided I will do a conference type of event, but only for merchants, because merchants have this problem. They don't know how technically to accept Bitcoin. They have a problem marketing that they accept Bitcoin, and they have a problem how to deal with the accounting and the taxes. And he said that's a problem in the ecosystem, and he started this conference type in Bulgaria that's happening once a year. And I would say because of that, last year when he started in Bulgaria, there were like between 20 and 30 merchants that accepted Bitcoin. Now we're close to 200 in a span of 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah, and the opportunities are coming to him. He attracted a sponsor that he didn't search for, but just because he set up this event, he was financing it by himself. Opportunity came to him, and this is just the start. I'm saying that if you apply this formula, you may experience, this is a one-time thing what I'm saying, but if you stay on this path, another great story will come, and another, and another. I'm here in this Prague event because I did a podcast that my company didn't ask me to do. Nobody from the Bitcoin space said, oh, we'll pay you. But because I need to say a particular message, and that's the exact message, it resonated with the BTC Prague, which was level up everything. And because of it, they invited me to speak, which is another great. Again, it's just, what do you love doing? Start doing it, and you will experience all those great emotions, but the extra benefit is that you get paid for it. Like, that's the human experience that we should all have, and Bitcoin gives you that when you actually do the proof of work and stop caring about the proof of stake. Because if you care about the proof of stake, you always have times when you said, oh, I should have bought more, oh, I should have sold now, oh, this, and this is fiat proof of stake thinking applied in Bitcoin. Do proof of work all the time, and that's where value comes into your life. As I said, about you have one life, one day at a time, 1 month, 1 year, whatever. What you do in that time is what's valuable.
Very well said, man. So what are you working on now then? If you're obviously at Breez, maybe give us a little bit of context on like what you guys do, and I want to understand like where you see, because I feel like we're in this place of, we're so early in Bitcoin that there's a lot of like the fiat mentality still, like it's just so wired into us. Yeah. Like even myself,
we need to detoxicate ourselves, yeah, like drug addicts.
Dude, I check the Bitcoin price every single day, like I don't go a day without checking. And it's like, it doesn't really affect me emotionally because I know what it is. And if it goes down, great, I buy more. If it goes up, great, I have more purchasing power. But I'm still into this, like not that that's bad, but I would just curious like where you see fast forward into the future, like when Bitcoin, because they say you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. How is Bitcoin going to change us as a whole, in terms of just how we think, how we act?
Yeah, it is going to ground ourselves into reality, because in my latest article, what is Bitcoin, and the subtitle was you don't know and you can't explain it, because first of all, we don't have the language for it, because it's an unknown. And if it's an unknown, nobody said, okay, this is the word for the unknown. We had to figure it out. This is Bitcoin. But because it's a reality, just like steel. When Andrew Carnegie did Steel Bridge, he realized something in reality. And even though very few people realized the same as him, he gave a real life experience to the people. It was not all this fiction and let's talk about it. He gave this real life experience to the people, and he had to trick them. He hired one elephant because it was a popular fiction that elephants don't walk on unstable structures. And when they walked on this bridge after the elephant, then everybody believed him. What happened there? Before the elephant walk and after it, they didn't change reality. Reality was reality. Reality didn't care. But we realized in our smart brains what is reality through an experience. And that is Bitcoin right now. It's going to ground us into reality. And Bitcoin doesn't care what you think about it. It doesn't care what I think about it. It's going to be what it is. And it's dependent on the humans to use it the proper way in order to benefit. Because if you apply again the total fiction thing of the ETFs, yeah, you have some benefits, but if the reality strikes and the ETFs are depleted for any reason, reality doesn't care. You cross the street on a green light and the truck still hit you. Like, is reality wrong? No, you just used it without really understanding the trade-off there. And I think it will happen the same thing about everything, because money touches everything and reality is life. Like energy is life. All the properties now of Bitcoin that we are kind of aware of are money, software, technology, electrical system, heating system is starting to get some tractions.
Yep.
They're all correct and it's all in one thing. Try to figure all of them out.
Right.
It's impossible,
Right.
first of all. And if you say Bitcoin is money, then you're going to try to fit your fiction into reality, like saying, oh, this steel bridge is unstable because I have the experience of the wooden bridge, of the iron bridge, of the stone bridge. But the bridge doesn't care what I think about it. Bitcoin doesn't care what I think about it. It is going to be what it is. And to use it properly, I'll have the benefit. To use it the wrong way, I may have some other benefits, but when reality strikes, doesn't care the same way that we are right. And as we talked in the beginning, in Lebanon, their life energy was tied to their Lebanese fiction, Lebanese currency, and Lebanese banking system, and whatever you want to say it. But that's fiction. When a reality strikes, it doesn't care that you need to eat. Deal with it. It's the same thing that all the people that will have those bad experiences, Bitcoin will say, I am the savior now. You used me the wrong way. Deal with it. Some people will get depressed. Some people will kill themselves. Some people will be killed by other people. But again, Bitcoin doesn't care. Reality doesn't care. Life doesn't care. It's just moving on. And it's dependent on us, and that's why I get in front of podcasts to talk about the possible implications. Are you using reality the proper way?
Robert Breedlove, I'm sure you know who that is. He's did a podcast recently on how price is truth. Maybe someone else was the guest and they were talking more about it, but like prices is our way of communicating to each other what things are worth. Like obviously this, you know this, but many people, and we call them normies, people that are non-Bitcoiners, just normal people, and it's not a mean term, but they're dealing with trying to understand, and myself included, when I drive by, when I get off the highway and go to my house, I look at that gas price right there off the side of the road and I say, okay, the price is up 10 cents today, and there's been periods of time where it's up $1, 10 cents every day for 10 straight days. And prices communicate to everybody something, and it might be perceived differently, but I think we're going through a period of time where price inflation has gotten so severe that people are I would say almost waking up and looking to answer this question for themselves. And I find myself just being like, Bitcoin, it's the fiat money printer is causing all this, and like Bitcoin fixes this. But maybe give me, and we've just got a minute here because we're about to be filming with the real big guys. But yeah, man, just what I lost my train of thought, but
about the price.
Advice around communicating to people about, hey, like, we're all experiencing this pain, or this number is communicating to us something. Talk to me a little bit about what you advise, and you said it to me the other day, and it really hit me well, of like, how do you have these conversations? They're obviously touchy and emotional, but how do you kind of encourage people to look deeper and to ask, like, why are prices going up, and why is my life getting harder? Like, do you have any advice on orange pilling?
Yeah. My personal approach, because I have a powerful experience, if you talk about numbers, you're talking logically. Go for the heart, go for the emotions, go for solving a problem for them. It might be money, it might be something else, it might be energy, but let me tell you this, that if you give them an explanation that you enrich their life beyond money, now you're connected almost for life. That even think about your closest people around you. Are they around you because they gave you money? Like, no. They will be there if you need money, but they are not there because of it. And that's what I would say. Stop talking about the numbers. Start talking beyond it. I'm not saying ignore it, but the deepness where it has staying power and it motivates action is in the emotion. Like, the number is a logical thing, and it's a professorial thing, and whatever PhDs and the Keynesians can fight about it, but an emotion, because I can tell you logically my experience and what we talk about Lebanon, what's happening there. But if I say my story, if I say even a story of somebody else, that's undeniable. So talk about that, not something that can be fought logically. When you have the human experience, that's undeniable, and that's the true value. So you won't have to fight anybody that can say, no, it's not. Because how can somebody say to me, I didn't experience what I've experienced? And it puts them into the position, you didn't sell them anything. So then they have to justify why this thing happened to me and what are the conclusions that I came up to, and they have to justify why they are not using it. But we don't have to justify why they should.
Well said, Ivan. It's been a pleasure, man. I had a ton of fun.
Me too.
And thank you for taking the time to chat. And till next time, man.
Yeah,
looking forward
see you
to
around.
seeing where things go. Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.